Dang.
Yeah. And I know that you've put a lot of effort into crafting it just so, right? And so my solution to this, and there's a broad range of where speakers fall on this line, but my solution to this is, instead of completely off the top of my head, I create an outline and I stick to that outline. And then whatever I say, however I say it, I let that be whatever it is. So between the extremes of completely extemporaneous outline to completely memorized is like way over here, right? So you want to find, as you continue speaking, you'll find where you fall. My coworker Deb, that created this with me, she is an absolute memorizer. She loves to memorize word for word. She just puts the time in to do it, and that's how she likes to do it.
Do you know how she does that?
That's not me. Well, I've done a lot of plays, and you have to memorize plays word for word. And it's a lot of going over it again and again, using some like key words as basically an outline in your head, right? So I have this like 5-finger method that I use, where I put a word, like one word that triggers me here, 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 and I will actually write them on my hand the week before, so I'm looking at that outline the whole time. And then when I get to the actual event, I don't have them on my hand, but I can still see them on my hand in my mind, right? And you don't, if 9 is too many, then you just pick 5, or you just pick 3, and you remind yourself of these 3 main points, and then you practice a lot.
I had a stroke a year and a half ago, so.
Right. And it's not for everyone. I mean, for me, when I say something that is memorized, it feels really memorized. And I don't like the way that comes off. So I just throw that side of the spectrum out the window. And I have gotten better at trusting myself with my outline that I'm going to say that phrase. So usually when I have an outline, I have like a couple of words or one phrase that I want it to come out just so. It doesn't always do it, but it usually is close enough. And then, like I said, I let the rest flow. So where do you think you fall on that spectrum, Morgan and Heather?
So I don't really like super memorizing things, and as long as I practice the sections enough from my paper, it flows enough. My concern is, since my stroke, my remembering, like, you know, it used to be like, if I know there's 5 things and I say them enough times, I can remember them in order. But that I tend to forget now. So like if I can on the lectern just have like, this is the order you were supposed to say these 5 to 10 things in, that's enough for me. I don't need to read it. I don't even need to write the key phrases down into that section. Just what order was I going to say these things in, so that I remember, because in how we've set this up now, it'll mess it up. So I'm like, oh wait, I forgot to tell you the whole story part.
Right, right. Which is a concern, right? And
right.
And yet I've seen it on stage a million times where someone forgets a piece, they stick it in a illogical spot, and the audience is all the better for it. They have no idea. It works. It's fine. But yes, that would be a perfect use of that lectern, right? A big sheet of paper like this with 5 words on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Because no one is going to notice you, you know,
looking down for the,
you know,
right.
They're not going to notice that one iota.
Yeah. So that's really all I need, is that there's something
and
that can just.
You would be like, I want you to picture yourself doing that now. And I want you to get your outline down to 5 or 10 words. And then I want you to practice with it, because if you practice like that, you will be shocked at how you really don't use the paper up there. You remember it, but it calms your nerves down right? You don't have that nervousness to go, what if I completely blank out on point 3 and what I want to jump to it is I know it's point 5, but I cannot remember point 3, but all those nerves go away. So yes, do that and start practicing that way now. Don't wait till the night before to write down your sheet of paper. Write it down right now and start practicing that, because it will change how you are in 3 weeks. Okay, so Morgan, spectrum of memorizing.
I like for tests, I'm a memorizer, otherwise I will not remember anything. It just gets like so boggled in my head. And then I actually don't know the answer to that question, but here's like, these are things that I do know. I also know that even when my grandma and grandpa are looking at me and like waiting on me to talk and all attention is on me, it kind of stresses me out. So, I don't know. But I also know, last thing, that if I say something that's exactly memorized, I think you're right. I think that I'm the same way. It'll come out sounding very memorized. I would much rather prefer to trust myself enough to be able to talk through it with an outline.
Yeah.
But that trust is not necessarily there.
Not there yet. Yeah. So this would be a good couple weeks to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have it written out, knowing, and this can help you too as you're writing it out, it doesn't have to be exact, right? It has to get in the ballpark. It has to get there, and it's going to come out a little bit differently on stage anyway. But this would be a good time to experiment with, am I a detailed outline person, or am I a big chunks person? Big chunks or little chunks? Is it helpful for me to have like a header and 3 points and another header and 3 points? Or is it just helpful for me to have those 5 headers? Oh.
Yeah.
Because, I have created outlines for myself that were so detailed that I get up on stage and I just toss them anyway. But when I just create that simple 5-word outline, that's when it's actually helpful for me, because I can look at those 5 words. So, but it's really down to you as a speaker and what really works for you. So start playing with it now, I guess, is what I'm saying to you two and to everyone watching. You have it mostly written or all written. Some of you do have it all written. Good job. Now is the time to start putting it into outline form. And then another thing that's going to help you with this memorization is what we're going to do today, which is all about delivery. The way you say what you're going to say. And this can help a lot, because now we're going to put some more emotion behind certain phrases. We're going to pick things out and circle them really big. And that helps your brain remember when there's like some kind of extreme of something. Your brain will remember that more easily. Okay? All right. Also need to say that we will do a little run through of everyone's talks next week. Okay, so perfect time to practice. Just get an outline that you can do with your friends here. I'll record it for you, but not like, this doesn't have to be your end all be all recording, right? And then the following week, I'd like to meet in person if we can in South Fort Collins at the CBC Bank and do a run through there from 1 to 2:30 with each other live. And then we're on a couple days later. So I guess it's 2 weeks from Saturday.
Freaking me out. Don't talk about that.
That we are on. I know. And yeah, so let's jump into some delivery notes, okay? Personally, I wish I could teach 6 weeks just on delivery, because delivery is hugely important. How you say something, you know, the rumor out there is it's 93% of the equation. So that's good news in a way, because if you show up with your whole heart and your big idea and your amazing intention, some of the biggest thing that they're going to walk away with is just like, wow, that woman is on fire. She knows her stuff. She is clear on this, and people love clarity. Just seeing something with somebody up there with a clear idea, that's like half of it. Okay. And I guess the other news is that you really want to put some life into your talks. This is it. Let's put some life into the talk. So let me share my screen here. I have some slides for you guys about this. I have to say that I think this is probably some of the most memorable things that, like, I actually remember from my going to see TEDx, is just someone's presence, their vibe, you know, how much energy they brought to the stage. A stage is a big place, so you want to bring enough energy to fill up a lot of space. Your personal bubble, when you go day to day, is this big, but your personal bubble when you're on the stage is the whole stage. That's all your space. You're not taking up anybody else's space up there when you get really big. So go for it. Not just your voice, not just your words, but your whole body. I can barely talk about it without throwing my whole body out really big. All right? You want to see it. And the way to use your whole voice is to vary your pitch, your rate, and your volume. So for you guys, there's only 2 of us on the call, so we can really pick on you guys. I want you to think about your defaults in one of these areas. Either you have a default pitch, like some kind of monotone. You have a default rate when you get on stage. If it's me, I default to fast. And you have a default volume. For me, that's loud. Some people soft. A lot of people soft. But even though louder is considered better on stage, if I'm just always at loud volume, people's minds turn off and they just don't hear any variation. And that's what makes them tune out. So I want you to think about your default, and then we'll move on from there. So do you ladies know any of your defaults?
Certainly fast.
Fast.
And usually loud.
Fast and loud. Shockingly, sisters, yeah.
I learned it from somewhere. And it wasn't our mother.
That's right. And Morgan?
I would say probably fast, and it depends on the volume, but it's definitely usually the same the whole time I'm talking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would say you are slightly on the softer side. Of course, I haven't seen you speak on stage, but slightly on the softer side. But you're right, it doesn't really matter if it's soft or loud. It just matters that you change it. Okay, so you two and everyone watching, please go through your talk, and I want you to circle 3 times in your talk when you're going to actively defy your defaults. So for Heather and I, we would be going through and circling 3 sentences. We are going to say, so slow, it's going to freak everyone out. Those are your power sentences. because they defy your defaults. And for you, Morgan, because I think you're on the softer side, you want to go through and circle 3 sentences. You're going to stand up there and basically yell. It's going to feel like I'm yelling this because I believe it so much. And it's going to punch us in the face and wake us up and be like, oh my gosh, she's still talking about this. Okay, I got to pay attention. And, you know, it doesn't matter what your default is, going to the other extreme feels weird, and you feel like you are pushing yourself at a 10. You know, if I ask Heather to say something really slow right now, which I should do, Heather, say something really slow.
What do you want me to say?
Great. So Heather feels like that is so slow. She's like at a 10 level of slowness right now. But we all are like, oh, finally I can understand what words you're saying. You know, she's landing at a 5 with how she's being heard. So I'm totally picking on you, and
That's fine.
I would pick on you even if you weren't my sister, but I happen to because you're my sister right now. But
I'll get you back later.
Okay. But I see this all the time. So if you are going soft to loud, you know, you feel like you're yelling, and we're all like, oh, I can hear you. So don't be afraid to push it all the way to your 10. I promise you it will not blow us out of the water. Okay, and that's for everybody watching. 3 places where you are going to definitely defy your defaults. Okay, and this is just with your voice. And as far as tonality goes, see, I'm going up into my high register, and it might be getting your attention. And I might go down into my low authority freaking voice and make you pay attention. So whatever it is, go defy your default with your voice. Okay. Also, we got to use our whole face. Sorry, I didn't edit this from before. What I meant to say is your whole body. I did this for our group who was only online. But this is good old ScarJo here, showing us how to truly use your whole face, and you want to definitely use your whole body as well. Okay, so for me and for other, I'll say, people that talk with their hands. Okay, if you talk with your hands, that's great, but it doesn't do all of it, because of course, if you're a talker with your hands, it's going to become your default. You're always going to be doing something like this, right? Your hands are going to be here. So again, we need to go through and pick 3 places where you're going to use a grand gesture. Could be using your hands really high and low to demonstrate, you know, a high statistic. It could be spreading out really wide. It could be crouching down to show scaredness, you know, or out, vulnerability. Some grand gesture. I want 3 of them. You get 100 extra points for using your legs. If you find a way to get a kick into your talk, 100 extra points for you. Lower body counts too. If you want to do a sweep across the stage, that can really work. And I have seen this win speaking competitions. There's this speech that I watched that was really going nowhere. This guy was not using his voice, monotone. The story was like, okay. And then all of a sudden he does this grand gesture of this, I think it was like a whale that he demonstrated. And his arms went full out and his whole body was involved. And I swear, in that moment, I was like, you're going to win this speech competition because of that. And sure enough, he did. It just wakes people up. You've got to use your whole body. So I'm going to stop here and ask you ladies if you see a couple of points in your talk where you could use some big gestures.
I have to think about it.
Yeah. Take some time to think about it. What do we think? A key gesture associated with your key phrases would be super great as well. So, you know, Morgan, you have this key word going on in your talk of empowerment. What if there was a motion for empowerment? Compared to the old way, which is teaching through fear, right? So, you know, you could use like a cross-body gesture when you talk about, if we teach through fear, you don't have to add a single word to your speech. You teach through fear versus teaching through empowerment. You don't have to like be a, I don't know, product demoer, you know, the first thing, the second thing, the third, you know, but if you're just doing it casually, it really feels good. The third thing I want to say today, because I really hate those speakers who are like, the first thing I want to talk to you about is this, you know, it's, you might as well just go, I want to give you a hand for, you know, like we don't want that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a gesture that lets what's inside, the feeling that you're talking about, lets it come out through your body. So what are you seeing in your talks? Let's stop our share here for a sec. Anything that needs a gesture to really get the point across.
I mentioned that a few times, but I'm typically a person that doesn't even talk with my hands. I barely even move my face sometimes. So this is going to be a lot of very outside of my comfort zone, but I think it's important.
But again, that's your default. So that's fine. You know, that's what the cool thing is, like, people aren't comparing you to anyone else. They're only comparing you to you. So you set up the default of standing fairly still, which I've seen many TED Talks where the person just stands right on that red carpet and they don't move. And I'm like, I would never be able to stay on that red carpet. You know, you'd have to nail my shoes into the floor. But they're only comparing it to you. So you just get one good gesture for rock bottom. Or, yeah, or are you thinking of something?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I definitely think it has a possibility of like being able to show like or even crouching down, because I'm talking about how my rock bottom kept getting lower and lower, or like it just kept going, and maybe showing that with my body.
Yes. Yes, Morgan, that is a good breakthrough. Yes. Make sure to put in there, especially if you're not used to using your hands. This is the time to start practicing. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm feeling, are you feeling this too, that see how that could help you really remember a phrase?
Yeah.
Because it's like, now comes the rock bottom part. I know exactly what to say, and I do this little motion.
Yeah.
And you just get on a little autopilot for one sentence so you can say it exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was great. So that took you 3 minutes. So do it again. You know, comb, take another 3 minutes. Comb through, find one more. Comb through, find one more. At least 3. I'm calling them grand gestures. Where the message comes out your body and takes over and creates a movement. Awesome. Heather, did you find anything?
I think there's a couple of, a little bit pretty easily, but additionally, like anytime I talk about them with their conformance stuff, kind of looking like a robot, I tend to talk with my hands a lot. My step counter on my watch thinks I climb like at least 9 staircases a day, and I do not do that. And I think that's awesome. The other day I was cleaning my garage. It said I climbed 25 flights of stairs, and I don't have stairs in my garage. So anyway, if I stop moving my hands so much and keep
Are
them
you moving
down
your
by
hands right now? Because there's like weird, it sounds like you're typing or background noise.
no, I'm not doing
I wonder
anything.
if it's your microphone on your headphones hitting
It's
your.
up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's when you touch your.
What if I hold it like this? Is that better? Not better.
Now it is.
Yeah, when you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to hold it
Okay.
Yes, that's much better.
and not move my hands.
Okay.
So
Great.
anyway, I think if I stop moving my hand, if I make myself look more robotic-like with the compliance times when I talk about that.
Yeah.
Visually
Yeah, I
trigger
mean,
people
can
to
you-
that.
like even like just putting your like you can't even
Right.
see where my arms are, right?
Sit down, quiet.
Sit down, be
Do the
quiet.
thing.
Yeah, that can really drive that point home. That's a great one. And you know, you do talk with your hands. I know you have like some of these motions and stuff. And I know this because I have them too, and people say we look exactly the same when we speak. But like imagine even just going from these hands to these hands.
Right.
Right? When we talk about compliance, not adding
I
anything.
might not do an actual robot dance.
I'm just saying, you might want to bring it home for the cheap seats. Like, but even just that motion of getting rigid in your hands brings home that rigidity piece. And our bodies are reacting to other people's bodies all the time. So if you want to get this deep in their subconscious brain, you got to say it with your whole body at least 3 times in your talk. And I'm saying that again for the people at home.
Can you give me a hand signal about that?
Not 1, not 2, but at
No.
least 3 times.
No.
Yeah. And this is a good thing to be practicing the whole 2 weeks up to when we give our talks, because you can see it in your whole in the rest of your communication too. Just when something needs a hand motion, go for it, and even overdo it. Let yourself overdo it for the next 2 weeks, because if you get nervous up on stage, it gets a little muted. Even for extrovert speakers like Heather and I, it gets a little muted on stage unless you really give yourself permission to go for it. Okay, the last thing I want to say about using your body on stage is this cruel, crazy breakthrough mindset that it took me a long time to learn. And it's kind of a red pill, blue pill situation, because now that you're going to hear it, you're going to see it everywhere and people messing it up. So sorry about that. But the other part of what you can use up there, besides using your body and using your voice, is using the whole stage. Okay? Like I said, a big sweeping motion going from one side to the other. But the thing to know about this is, and to practice the next 2 weeks, is a lot of people use the stage and their gestures as a timeline. Okay? So when I'm talking to you guys, is this towards the future or is that towards the future? Right. We all know this way is the future and this way is the past. So this can be a huge benefit to your audience if you do that correctly, but it's going to be backwards for you as the speaker. So if you're referring something into the past, it goes right. Left is for later. And since all of our talks are building up to this amazing future and how things are going to be soon, I know we're all going to be referring to the future, and I want you to put it to the left. Okay? Now, the bigger way to use this is to, and I'm trying to think if anybody has a story like this. Morgan, you might have a story like this. Heather, you have somewhat. I think Mary Rust, you definitely do. Mary Dravis Parrish, you do. Your stories in the past. Linda, you have definitely childhood stuff. Your own childhood stuff always needs to be over there on the right. So yeah, I think it's definitely, we're saying, Dana, you definitely have past stuff too. So you can use the whole stage as a timeline and actually stand to the right when you're talking about the past, and then come back to the present here in the middle, and then take a couple steps over into this future that you want to paint this way. Okay? So both gestures and actually walking across the stage as you go from past to future. And maybe it's like, you know, you stand there and you tell the story, and then you stand in a different place and tell the next piece and tell the next piece. So left is later, and use the stage as a timeline if it is appropriate. So let me touch on you, Morgan, since you're here. And does your story and the way you tell your speech, it feels like it could have the potential to come in and out of the past?
So I rewrote my whole thing, but right now it does go in one spot. It goes back. Like, let me return to this, but I didn't know if that was too confusing, so I almost took it out.
Okay, so this is the perfect thing to make it less confusing, is use your body to move out of the past and say, but one more thing, let me step back for one moment and actually step literally back into the past, which is right. Okay, so practice this. Graphs go like this. Yesterday is over here. Tomorrow, I'm going to do this. Practice this all the time. Left is later, left is later, left is later.
But we're
And
actually going to walk right.
this stage that we're going to be on, yeah, you're walking right if you go to the past.
Okay.
If you want to go later in time, you walk left.
Okay.
That I don't have a good right is earlier. I don't have a good one for right. But this is how I remember it. Left is later. Okay, well that means yesterday is this way.
Right is reverse.
Right is reverse. Right is
Or reverting.
right
Or
to rewind.
rewinding.
Right? Left is future, left is later. Yeah, so you're gonna walk right to rewind the timeline. Yeah, so just practice that in your normal conversations too. Cool. Okay, let me just make sure I got to everything. Well, yeah, this is important. So if you've hung out with me at all, you know that I am super interested in this thing called presence. And it's really about the energy, the physical and emotional and spiritual energy that runs through your body, and you getting connected to that, connected to the energy, and also connected to your body. Because your body is always in the present moment. It's only your mind that goes away. So when you get your mind in the present moment, it's like lining everything up for the energy to shoot right through. So that's why we want to have we've gotten your words down now. Now we want to bring your body in alignment with those words. So let's just do this real quick right now, and we definitely will do it the night of the show. Just want you to feel your feet on the ground. This forgotten lower half of our body is so powerful, especially for us as women. And then at the same time as you're feeling your feet, see if you can feel your center. So I always shoot for my belly button and then go inside my body from there. That power center. This is the actual center of your body. This is actual command center of your body. Like if you had the bridge of Star Trek, this is where the bridge would be. It's in the middle of you. It's not up in your head. So feel that center down there. And feel how your topic starts here. Starts in your gut. You know this to be true. This is the thing that wants to come out of you. And whatever words get said, there is a feeling, a passion behind the words. That is your source of energy on this. Please speak from this source. Don't speak from trying to get it right. Don't speak from trying to build your credibility. Don't speak from the outer things. Speak from your knowing the truth of this topic and ready to let it out. You've lived it. You've experienced it. You felt it. You know it. Now you've researched it. You've crafted it. You are this topic, and it is you. So this picture on the slide is the woman in red. Her name is Marina Abramovich, and she's a presence practicer. She's a performance artist. She goes out into the world and she just bees something and waits for people to react. And this is her in the New York Museum of Contemporary Art. And this is all she's doing with people, is she's sitting there in her presence, and this person that's dressed in black, looks like a woman, is just sitting there. They're not talking. They're just witnessing her being in the present moment. And she did this for, I think it was 3 months or something crazy like that. And her quote, she is an expert on presence, in my opinion. Her quote is, "When you are up on stage, bleed blood, not ketchup." That's the difference between acting it and actually believing it. So if you have emotions come up around this, if you have facial expressions, if you have body movements that want to happen, let them be from your real emotions. Show us your real heart and soul here, and bleed your blood for us. If this hurts you, let us hear it in your voice. Let us see it on your face. I have this one speaker that I knew was so passionate about her topic, and she was practicing with me, and was trying to convince me how much she felt about this topic, and I was like, that's great. Don't tell me. Tell your face. Tell your face, I'm sad. And let your face be sad or angry about it. You know, tell your body that you mean it, and let it mean it with you. This is the time to dig deep and let the realness out. Not the ketchup. We don't need the talking head ketchup information about it. You feel me? Okay. So I'm going to stop this here. I'll do those in a second. And we're just going to practice this for a second, okay? So I don't want you to think about what you have written. I want you to just go back to remember the core of your topic, all right? And we're going to get centered here, and then you're just going to let something that you feel out, okay? And I'm actually going to pause the recording here so you don't feel recorded. People at home, so this is your job today over the weeks, is to connect to the feeling of this, especially as you work on your gestures and your voice vocal variety. Okay, as you go through and circle in your script what's important, what needs to get said, what, you know, even if it feels a little silly, this is so important that I have to slow down for it. Even if it feels a little silly, I got to go all the way with my rock bottom, or all the way with my past and future gestures, because it's important. So keep that feeling as you go through and mark up your script, as we would say in theater. Oh, am I going to mark up my script? And also keep that feeling as you do your outline. You're taking a bunch of thoughts and you're getting them down to the most important 5 words or 10 words or whatever your outline is. So what are the power punches here? What are the things that I care about? You've gotten some feedback from others now. Now it's time for you to take the reins of this talk and say, this is what I'm going to say, come hell or high water. If I forget this piece, meh, but this is going in the talk. So that's what I want to say today. Make it come from your source that got you here in the first place. You've invested money, and I would say you guys have all invested so much more time than the money and effort and, you know, bandwidth and energy into this. So let's let all of that come out, all of that passion, all of that why. That's really what delivery is about. Okay, I want to open the door for some questions. I want to open for a little discussion here since we have a smaller group. And I want to also open for anyone to say, you know, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? What do you guys think? With anything specific that you might want to do with your talk. So, any questions? And then it looks like we can wrap up a little early today. Good.
Well, I have a question, kind of. I'm worried about my talk being super depressing. I like what you said about like the end being bright, but I'm worried that that's not going to be enough. But is it okay that it's kind of depressing? Like, I just...
Yes, but I do think you probably want to point to what's possible here.
Yeah.
You know, because that's some of your like big results that you've had.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason to go to the depressing point is like, well, awareness for one, right? But also to showcase that your solution isn't just helpful for minor problems. Your solution can really fix big problems.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how big. And then, you know, but you have a couple of high points when you talk about are you still talking about your ACT class?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's some really good experience that Morgan had using these tools, and it actually like affecting the bottom line, which happened to be ACT scores in her case. So use those, my advice would be use those bright points and tell your face and tell your body to like, let that inspire people, right? Like, this works.
I also think that, like, just with your story, the fact that you are standing in front of people smiling makes them feel hopeful about your story. You know, what you're saying is sad that it happened to you. You clearly survived and are thriving and stay on stage in front of them. So, you know, you are that hope, even while you say depressing things, because it's sad. Those are all true things. And clearly the story ended well because you're right here. So
Yeah. Thanks for that, Heather.
And you do have a bit of a natural smile, Morgan, you know.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, you know, you have resting smile face.
I have been told a little different sometimes, so that's
You
good.
have?
Oh, yeah. Probably in different situations. I like being here, so this is good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, great question. Great question.
I am feeling like I'm wanting some more feedback on my talk. Like I'm not sure that if my talk feels kind of square, kind of in a box and not interesting enough.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, like, how I can be phrasing things different, or if I should be moving things around within the talk to try and get to something. So I think, and maybe that's just a one-on-one with you, but
Well, the cool thing is we do have our one-on-one this week. So you'll do your
okay,
talk for me in whatever state it's in.
okay,
You'll do your talk for me and I'll be able to give you some feedback. And then next week we have a session for you to do your talk for everyone
okay,
and to give feedback. So you'll do it in
Right.
like kind of in the entirety. We've done pieces for each other.
yeah.
So is that going to be enough for you, Linda, do you think?
Probably, yeah. I think I'll work on it again more this week. I got interrupted by having to go to this conference this week, and then I was recuperating yesterday. So so I haven't been able to work on it for the last 3 days. So I think coming into it, I'm a little disconnected, but I'm still feeling like, even as we ended last week, like it's not where I want the talk to be, and that I'm just seeking more feedback on how I can make it more interesting.
So I heard that word interesting, and also feels like make a big point or make the big impact that you want to make.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that it's really coming to this like final end piece that kind of ties it all together in a interesting way. Like, I just feel like the talk feels very like structured,
Okay.
versus more storytelling in a way. It just
Okay,
feels
cool.
very like academic in a way.
See if, I think there's a combo of factors, like, because this is kind of an academic talk, it has research and it's not all storytelling, see if you can still breathe some life into that a lot by the way you say it. And I know you are a stage person, and you want to really keep upping your game with how you say it and the delivery, just like to take the edge off the interesting part, right? Like, I want the content to be interesting too, but I want you to feel that even when you're not exactly telling a story, you can still bring all those storytelling skills to bring huge life into super boring topics.
Yeah, well, it kind of, as I talk about, the studies and the research, it's it seems to bog it down a little bit in the middle, and not, I don't know. It just
Okay,
doesn't feel.
Gosh, I wish I could, like, this is my passion coming through now, is like, oh my gosh, I've had to listen to not that many, but a few, like, people telling about their research and telling about studies. And if they do it from their head, like they're reading me just the information, oh, it's so heavy and flat. And I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
But this is your opportunity to bring a performer's mind to research, right? Like, it will force you to go, what is important about this study? If I just leave it to you to read the study and gather your own conclusion, I might as well just hand you a written copy of it. The reason I'm telling it to you on a stage is because I'm letting you know what I think is the implications of this, and why I'm even taking part of my 10 minutes to put in a study. It must be important in some way. So tell us that.
Okay.
I also like keep thinking that brain science is just interesting to me, and like skipping over that part, or if I'm putting together conferences, like, oh, we probably don't want a brain science speaker, like, that's just me. And turns out it's not just me. Like, people actually do want to know that information. even though I assumed I was the only nerdy person in that room, has like continually happened to me a lot recently, where I'm like, all right, it's not just me. I'll tell people that part too. So might not be as boring as we think it is.
Okay, thanks.
But if you think it's a little boring, that could come across in your tone, right? So put the parts in that you think are actually really interesting and prove your point.
Okay.
Very good questions. Okay, well, I'm inclined to leave class a little early and let you guys have maybe some extra minutes to work on your talk. And I'll be sending you a way to sign up with me. Same thing we did last time as that doodle poll. I'll try to give lots of different times that you can sign up with me before next week. So you'll read me what you have kind of in its entirety so I can give you some feedback. And then next week we'll perform what we have for each other and get some feedback from them too.
And when are we doing that live performance?
Then the live performance is the next week. So the 25th from 1 to 2:30 and I think it'll go 1 to 3, although Morgan won't be able to join us and we might have somebody else that can join us too.
Okay.
Okay. Last thing I want to say is, have you sent out info about tickets? You have. Okay, cool. Because I haven't seen very many people buying their ticket. And did I give you a coupon code? I think I gave you the coupon code of free for it's U+2, the tickets that you get for free.
Okay.
I sent that all to you guys, right? And I sent you a little promo email you can send out to your peeps.
Yeah, I saw the promo email. Maybe I needed to read through it a little bit more.
Okay.
I might have missed it, but I did see the email, but I didn't see the code.
Oh, you didn't see the code.
But I wasn't looking for it. I kind of don't really know anyone here yet. So